You were never taught to people please. You were taught to be kind, generous, agreeable, easygoing, low maintenance, a woman. But at some point, those positive qualities became a trap that we lose ourselves in, or it becomes a kind of toxic pattern. Today, we're going to dive deep into why we got here, but more importantly, how to get out of it. Let's break down into these 7 archetypes. Probably you've experienced more than one of these or a combination of all. Number 1, the selfless angel baby. Growing up, you were asked to put everyone else's needs first and never your own. Number 2, the emotional burden trash can. Parental figures dumped their feelings on you, so you always had to make sure that they were okay first and foremost. Number 3, the eggshell expert. There was probably a parent or a caregiver whose mood swung quite extreme, and it dictated the weather in the whole household. So you learn how to walk on eggshells, anticipating things before they happened or became a threat, and you learn how to read the room. Number 4, the conditionally loved. Affection and approval were there only when you performed correctly or did as you were told. So from early on, you learn that who you are isn't enough, but only how you behave and what you do. Number 5, the invisible child. You weren't neglected dramatically, but just felt really unseen. Maybe the caregiver or the parent did not have the attentiveness or a quality of presence that you crave. Also, maybe being invisible was what helped keep the peace. Number 6, the who am I? Maybe due to different environments such as religion, culture, family, where there was already a predetermined script of how you were supposed to behave and who you were supposed to be. There was never an opportunity for you to build an internal compass. A compass that would tell you, let you know when you were betraying yourself. And number 7, last but not least, this is kind of a broader thing where either you witnessed extreme conflict in your household or it was just completely hidden away from you. So you have no reference point for how to positively resolve conflict. It becomes something that is very uncomfortable, something that you don't want to touch. If you've experienced one, some, or all of them, it's likely that you've become one of those 3 archetypes, but likely a combination of all of them. The peacekeeper, the person who never starts conflict. They may be willing to be in conflict, but they're never going to be the one to bring things up. This person wants everything to just always be okay. The going with the flower. This person is likely well liked by almost everyone, but sometimes you get this sense that there is something dangerous and elusive about this individual, and you're not sure why. It's because it feels like they've never shown you all of themselves, never really truly vulnerable. The third one and the trickiest one is a situational people pleaser. People pleasing or self-sacrificing only shows up in specific context or environment or relationships. It's very nuanced and it can get missed because it doesn't always read like you're a people pleaser because you don't try to please everybody. It also feels like you're just a deeply caring individual, always responsive to others' needs before they even realize they have them. But over time, there is a feeling of unfairness, imbalance, and resentment. I'm definitely someone who's been guilty of this in the past. As you can see, people-pleasing is typically a survival strategy, but that eventually turns into a form of self-abandonment. The opposite of a people pleaser isn't someone who does not care. It is someone who knows themselves well enough and trusts themselves well enough to be honest about who they are, what they want, without needing to control how they're perceived by others or received by others. We all have to make some kind of compromises within relationships. The question is whether you're making reasonable compromises in order to deepen a connection, or if you're simply sacrificing yourself. If any of what I said resonated, I created a course called Return to Self, and it's specifically about meeting those parts of us that learn to survive in this way, and on how to start building a sense of safety and self-trust and an internally resourced sense of self-worth starting right here. And if you're curious to learn more, I'll link it down below. So where do we go from here and how do we get out of these patterns? Number 1, getting to your why. This is a practice that I tried on myself before recording this video. The other day in the morning, I woke up early, as I usually do, and started cleaning around the house. And when my partner woke up, I told him everything that I'd done. I listed all the things that I did. So for this practice, I had him ask me, why did you feel the need to not only clean, but gave him a list of things that I had done, like a report almost? And my answer was because I wanted him to recognize that I am helpful. Why did I want to be perceived as helpful? And my why is because if I am helpful, that means I am valuable. Why do I want to be valuable? Because if I am valuable to someone else, then it validates that I can be loved and not be left. As someone who has actually done a lot of work around self-worth and someone who used to have pretty low self-worth, nearly a decade ago, to someone who now feels very comfortable and confident in herself, things still pop up and it's okay. And whatever your why is will give you a lot of clues as to how in what ways they show up in your life that is actually a form of behaving out of fear versus being who you are. So take however much time you need to figure out your why. And the next step is step number 2. Get clear and refine your true preferences. For example, I don't want to mother anybody, my friends, men. I want to be taken care of from time to time, but I'm really good at it. I could be the one who does everything. I actually don't want to. My preference is that sometimes I want to be lazy. Sometimes I want to kick my feet back and just lounge on the couch. And 9.5 out of 10 times, if we're picking somewhere to eat for a restaurant, I'm probably going to want Asian food. And you're going to have your own version of this. They can be small things like what you like to eat to really big things like your core values. Because the more we actually hide or push down who we are and what we want, over time, the line gets really blurred of where our performance begins and where our true self ends. And you begin to feel more and more detached from yourself, unable to cultivate a relationship, a quality relationship here, and just going with the flow of everyone else that's in your life. And that can feel sometimes depleting and like something is off, but you don't know what. And the people in your life aren't able to accept or love who you genuinely are because they're loving or accepting the version of you that you've curated for them, thinking it's for their comfort or benefit. And because of those things, you can be surrounded by people who say that they care about you or love you, yet you never feel fully seen, cared for, or loved. So let's change that. Number 3, starting a controlled burn. What do I mean by that? A controlled burn is like a deliberate act of clearing things out that's overgrown or unsustainable so that something new and healthier can grow in its place. And the way we do this, first and foremost, is by practicing not doing what you don't want to do. Be honest about whether you're doing something for someone or showing up a certain way for someone because it's out of the pureness of your heart, or if there is a silent expectation in return. Because kindness offered freely versus kindness offered with a silent condition can be felt. There's a different energy signature. You know it, they know it. And if we continue to do things out of the silent expectation, then quickly over time, resentment will start to build. It's that stereotypical martyr identity where someone says, I do everything for everyone else, but no one does anything for me. So instead of being a victim or upset, feeling like the things you do are never appreciated or reciprocated, simply stop doing them. Or even saying no when being asked, if truly you don't want to. Here's the important part that I know some of you are going to be spinning in your head. What if I want to? Trust me, I get it. What if I am genuinely a kind, generous, caring person and I want to take care of those people that I love? You're not wrong for wanting that, and you absolutely should expect reciprocation and appreciation. So if you're doing things out of the pureness and kindness of your heart, and the reciprocation and appreciation is not happening, then you have to do something else. You have to be courageous enough to get yourself into a little tension and conflict. Because everybody is going to have their own different relational language depending on their upbringing, culture, history, experience. So the goal here really isn't to determine when in relationship who's right or wrong, but rather what is your genuine, specific, personal preference. And being honest about the fact that sometimes you want to be lazy, sometimes you want a lot of attention, and not being afraid to declare those and communicate it in a healthy way helps you figure out when a relationship is not a reciprocal match. And then, if that is the case, we have to have the courage to consider distancing, or possibly walking away. Being the one to actually bring up difficult conversations is actually incredibly courageous, and it's something that might be unfamiliar to people pleasers. When we do this, we're risking rejection and abandonment, two of the biggest fears, aside from death, that people have. But if there is never this pure honesty and learning how to healthily resolve conflict, then all relationships will stay in this shallow waters without ever being able to deepen into a deeper bond. After getting clear on your why and doing a little bit of a controlled burn with people that are trusting, what happens next? Well, I find that when we advocate for ourselves, things tend to shift and change. Outcome number A, our relationship with other people begins to deepen. People maybe never realized our preferences or what we wanted or needed from them, and now they're given an opportunity to show up for us. And we get to practice together, setting healthy boundaries, sharing our yeses and nos, and being uncomfortable together. Learning to trust each other that every time we resolve a conflict or a disagreement, it brings us closer together. We ourselves become more and more attuned to our internal compass of our opinions, desires, and preferences, and deepening our relationship with self. And we start to allow other people around us to be fully themselves, because when we unhide parts of us, we allow other people's hidden parts to have a seat at the table too. Or outcome B. Some people are going to be real unhappy. I'm not advocating for us to start cutting people off left and right. Some people might need a little extra time to get used to a new version of us. But if you do tend to lean towards people pleasing, then I'm sure you're more selfless, kind, caring, agreeable, accommodating than the other side of things. So when you start to express your preferences and desires, and some people try to guilt trip or shame you, that is valuable data. And it's valuable information more about them than about you. But it comes down to a choice or decision that you have to make. It could be just distancing, it could be walking away, but that's only something you will know. Outcome B might seem a bit scary, but you're doing a controlled burn, and you're clearing out space in your life and energy and time for people to come in, for other people to actually show up, who will appreciate what you're doing, who will actually reciprocate the things that you do naturally out of their own pureness of heart. Learning how to approach conflict doesn't have to start with the most challenging relationships in your life. It can start first, like I said, with people that you trust, people that you feel safe with. Practice taking baby steps. And there's no getting it right or perfect. Sometimes when we overcorrect a pattern, we tend to overcorrect and swing extremely to the other side of things, and that's okay. But just start and trust that the people that are actually worth keeping in your lives will meet you right here, exactly as you are, like you would for them. Thank you for joining me today, and if you want to connect more, check out all the links down below, social media. I have a Substack newsletter as well. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, subscribe.